So the third and final scotch of the day is a Glenfiddich. This is got a very fancy case here. It's a single malt, original 12 from the Valley of the Deer. That's kind of cool.
So it's their original 12-year offering.
Okay. Oh, Valley of the Deer. I didn't even notice. See the deer?
Oh yeah. Yeah, the stag is
it's super cool.
Yeah, the stag is always a
that's just neat. All right.
Now more uses it too, but this.
All right. Well, by the third whiskey, we get the conversation gets a little more loose.
Yeah.
So here we go.
Okay.
It's not gonna make you mad.
Ooh, heavy pour.
A little extra because the last one.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
All right.
All right, so we'll set that here. Here we go.
All right.
Sláinte. Oh yeah. So something that Darin and I talk about with a certain amount of regularity when we're drinking whiskey.
Keep talking.
What's that?
Keep talking. I'm grabbing the book.
I thought you were pouring more. Something we talk about with some regularity is we typically, whenever we have a whiskey together, we try to always have 3 drams. And we do this specifically so that we can have 3 different whiskeys, 3 different flavors, and we do them in the order. We've been playing with this for a few years, where the order in which you have 3 drams of whiskey really alters dramatically the experience. So we experiment with, you might try something that's really sort of soft and easy to drink, and step up from something that's maybe a little more aggressive, and then maybe to something peaty at the end. Right? So we're very careful. We're very strategic in the order in which we drink our scotches. Today, where we had Monkey Shoulder and the Classic Laddie and the Glenfiddich, we had not had any of these 3 in quite some time. So these 3 we've had them, but it's been a while, and so we took a guess on the order. Without even asking Darin, I'm going to go ahead and say I think we fouled up the order just a touch, and we should have gone in the order of Monkey Shoulder, Glenfiddich, Classic Laddie.
Right, and to add to that a little bit, so there's some complexity here with the flavor, and Glenfiddich being from a little bit of a different region, even though it's a single malt. But I love the complexity you can get with the single malt. Not from blending like a blended whiskey, but just all the different flavors that go into it, and the cask and everything else that contribute to it. There's a lot of complexity here, and we may not be getting all of it because of the bite of the Brut Laddie, right?
Sure.
And it had its own complexity. And so when we do this exercise, we don't cleanse our palate, right? We don't refresh with water. Again, we're not pretentious to that degree. We're just 2 guys having some scotch, but we would welcome your comments, now understanding sort of the process that we go through, which is not unlike some of our business processes and how we look at things. Give us your 3 scotches that you would like us to drink, or even 3 whiskeys, right? Irish whiskey, fine. Yep. American whiskey, fine. Bourbon, fine. As long as it's some kind of whiskey, give us your 3 whiskeys in order, sort of like your perfect, it's not a pairing, I don't know what you call it, your perfect triplet, right?
Your perfect triplet of whiskey.
Of whiskeys kind of in order. We'd love to hear from you about that. And, we'd love to hear from you on the business side, right? Even if you're not a prospective client and you're just interested in these conversations about efficiency and growth and inflection points and AI and systems, there's no, it's like professors used to say, there's no stupid question, right? There's no bad comments. I mean, I guess there are if you're just trolling, but we're going to read everything that you say, and we're really interested in the value that you find in both whiskey and improving business.
Yeah, that'd be super fun to get some ideas on a triplet that depending on what it is and how we're feeling. I mean, we may sort of showcase that and try them on Whiskey and Wit, and maybe depending on how things work out, we might even bring you in and do a Zoom or a Teams call where we all try it together virtually.
Right.
That would be a hoot.
Absolutely.
So anyway, so our third whiskey, the Glenfiddich, regardless of the order conversation, although now we've sort of learned that, I think we both sort of tuck that information away for future use. But regardless, this is lovely.
Yeah.
It's a reasonable price point for whiskey, for a Scotch whiskey, I should say. So American whiskey is typically less expensive, but I think this is a very reasonably priced. I would say this is a very high quality overall Scotch whiskey, and another that I think falls similar to the classic laddie. I would say this would be good for somebody that's exploring Scotch whiskey newly, really sort of diving into it a bit. Yeah. So one more, Sancha, there we go.
See you.
Not a bad thing.
I mean,
So-
that is, for a single malt, that is very smooth and also complex.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm not sure how long they've been around.
Thick? Absolutely not.
I'll take a peek here. I don't see it on here. We'll have to find that out. I bet it's a good long while.
Oh, yeah. Love the packaging and the stag and everything else. I think they've got a great marketing model.
Triangular model.
Yeah, absolutely. But the absolutely is my favorite word. We'll work on that. But the we really do have an expanded vocabulary. But no, it's solid. I do remember we've had this before, I'm sure. But I do remember there was a fire and smoke offering they had at one point.
Yeah.
It was an orange bottle, and
Yeah.
it was not peaty. It was just smoky, and I think maybe there was some orange and some caramel in it, which again, not pretentious, but this is all. I think I actually like this more than the special offering that we had.
Speaking of special offering, we in between the classic laddie and the Glenfiddich that has been cut from this particular recording. Darin and I were talking about the idea and the concept of consulting in business and the are there stigmas that relate to that. And I think there's going to be like a whole Whiskey and Wit discussion about this next time or the time after that. But it got us talking a little bit about what makes us unique, aside from our approach and offerings and the lack of pushiness and so on. And there is something. And I think the way I want to start down this road, and then I'm going to try to stop and let you take over. So drink some whiskey while I'm doing this, and then we'll trade off.
Got no problem doing that.
So, Darin and I are both huge whiteboard aficionados. We've used that word several times today. But we love to throw everything on a whiteboard and analyze it and come up with our solutions that way. We have, and I'm sure we have pictures of these over the years, just the most insane, frenetic, just absolutely crazy whiteboard. Mental journeys, a stream of consciousness.
Oh, sure. Including the Fibonacci sequence around the edge.
Well, that's a whole different conversation. But yes.
Nerds.
Yeah, there you go.
Nice.
These are people. We went through one day and we're talking specifically about OpsSherpa. We were in an OpsSherpa meeting and we said, what do we think sort of, I don't know if we were talking about our value add or uniqueness in the marketplace, but we ended up with something that when we took a step back from it, and I have this in my office, I have this huge 8-foot wide whiteboard, you've got it pretty similar, and we ended up with this hodgepodge of stuff, but when we stepped back and looked at it, what we saw is what looked like effectively a bullseye, right? And at the center of the bullseye was your team. So the employees, corporate culture, right? The people in an organization. That was really at the center. And then as you went out layers, you started to get into the things that we specifically hone in on as a consultancy, which were, and I want to say we sort of boiled it down to 10 of them, and I'm not going to be able to just pull 10 of them out right this second, but it was things like systems, AI, leadership, communication, succession planning, operational efficiencies,
finance, marketing. I mean, all the pillars.
I got it. That's right. So all these things.
Yeah.
And as we had all these, they all had arrows pointing in to the team and the corporate culture, right? So this was, well, as we look at your systems, how do they support the team and the corporate culture? So we look at operations, how does it support the team and the corporate culture? So we look at finance and everything else, right? Communication. So then from there, it became, well, and what do we get out of that center of the bullseye? So outward from there was a very clear, sustainable business growth, sustainable revenue attainment, sustainable goal achievement, and so on. So our mentality, which as near as we can tell is very different than most consulting groups, is we are going to look at all the same things, right? These key elements of a business. But we're going to look at them through the lens of how do they better support, better grow, better develop, make stickier, better quality employees and corporate culture, right? So yeah, we're in a world now where the 30-year veteran employee is unheard of. It doesn't exist, largely. And we're not looking at it through that lens. We're looking at it as, it doesn't exist because the grass is always greener somewhere else. So if you do all these things well, the grass is greener in your organization. And if the grass is greener in your organization, you have a sticky team that doesn't want to leave because they want to grow and develop. And what does that do for a business, right? So we look at it, I mean, we've both worked in private equity environments where, yeah, you got a 60-month turnover where you're going to sell this business and you just got to grow it at any cost, which means you're going to cut your SG&A, you're going to lose people to get rid of overhead, you're going to just push to make it look as good as it can on paper, because at 5-year mark you're going to put it on the block, sell it, get the biggest return possible and move on. That is not a philosophy that we are in line with, right? So we are not consulting for PE.
That's right. We can do that for you, but so can 100 other consulting.
And we will, to be fair. If that's your goal, fine.
Those points,
I mean, it is a business. We have to make money. But that is not our typical approach. Our approach is really more central to you. We want to help you make the best conceivable team. I remember hearing about, this is in the, I want to say the early 90s, at one point, a random thing that watch it. Microsoft employed the highest number of millionaire, which doesn't sound as exciting in today's world as it used to, but millionaire secretaries in the world in the history of business. And they did this because at some point in the 80s, they offered, they had a Christmas bonus, and instead they offered stock options.
Oh, yeah.
And the whole staff said, no Christmas bonus, we want stock options. And so they ended up with secretaries that literally drove a Ferrari to work. Wild, right? You know, these guys were, and there's, I mean, several of them, all of them, right? You know, really, really made up. And I think that mentality is just so lost today. The idea of having a core loyalty, an absolute loyalty. I love ESOPs. I love anything that engages employees in the long-term success of a business. And I think that has really been our approach to consulting. Yeah. So now, I blather on, sorry.
No, you're totally fine. So I'm going to reference back to our model that looks like a target, right? With concentric circles, and you've got...
We've got an example of that on the website.
We do, yeah. So you can go look at that. But, you know, so it's not like the bullseye, or what's at the center, is the foundation of your business. It's your ideas, it's your niche, it's your special, you know, it's the secret sauce. It's the reason you win in business in the first place. And then the culture that you've established, you know, and the people that are part of your business family, we're all trying to move in the direction of that goal. And then you've got all the satellite systems in layers, and not just systems, but processes and everything else in layers around that. So it makes something that looks like a target. But it just occurred to me while you were talking that there's a different model from physics, since we're going to be really wild here, on our third scotch, that also applies to this, which is, so if anybody's familiar with the history of the atomic bomb, you understand that there were two models, right? And you're trying to achieve critical mass, which I'm not going to go way deep into this.
Are you fat man, little boy here?
Absolutely, right?
Wow.
Fat man, little boy. So we're going to start with little boy, right? So no, that's okay. We're going to start with little boy, and so the idea is you've got a radioactive element that you want to create a chain reaction by it being triggered to spit off neutrons, and that triggers an exponential reaction, and all of a sudden you get the critical mass energy release, right? So the first model for that was the gun model, where you're taking, a slug of material, uranium of a certain isotope that's here, and then you're accelerating another slug like a bullet into that, and when the two things come together under pressure, right, then you're going to achieve critical mass, and you're getting a release of energy that triggers the nuclear fission reaction, right? You have this tremendous explosion. So that was the first model.
That's little boy.
That's little boy, right? And so Fat Man, which was the second bomb, and actually the test at Trinity, the idea behind Fat Man sort of resembles our target model, right? Where you've got everything around the outside, which is a layer of explosives, right? So it's a layer of things that are going to grow your business that are required. Again, marketing, finance, systems, right? AI, process refinement, all of this stuff. But at the center is the important part, right? Which is that core of material, which is your ideas, your culture, everything else. And the way that works is through implosion, where you have to time it exactly, but all of the explosives fire into the middle, right? And when that happens, it creates the critical mass. There's isotope stuff I'm not going to get into, but it creates the critical mass by taking the target and collapsing all those rings onto the center, which is the core of your business and what your unique offering is. And then you can literally achieve explosive growth, exponential growth, right? But it has to be perfectly timed and synced. You've got to look at each segment and each ring and understand exactly what's going on. And there can't be any weaknesses, right? Because if you have a weakness in this thing, then it's not going to perfectly. You're not going to get equal pressure. You're not going to have a perfect implosion, which can lead to that kind of explosive growth. So that's the kind of thing we geek out on.
Good deal.
Yeah.
He's not gonna lie.
Yeah.
It's weirdly a normal conversation.
It is.
But interesting. Yeah. So all right, OpsSherpa, where we take nuclear fission and apply it to your business. I love it. Explosive growth. That's brilliant.
There you go.
All right. Cheers. Well, I have to say, the whiskey's been fantastic today. I have no complaints whatsoever. Although I am looking forward to the next couple, and the next several, all of them. But it's been good talk. I look forward to seeing what people are interested in hearing about. And, we talked a lot about OpsSherpa and our approach today. It'll be fun to get into some more deeper dives on a single topic, really drilling down on how we approach something or how we might recommend something, what the best practices that we observe or have experienced are. So comments are absolutely going to drive conversation.
Yep.
But we're going to do our very best to do one of these a week. And with that, I think once again, to anybody watching this, I say I look forward to having any conversations with anybody, because we really do love this stuff. And cilantro?
Yep. 100%.
Take care.